This is KALIN sharing a brief report on Andrew Johnson took the oath of office in April 1865. The nation was stunned and grieving. Abraham Lincoln lay dead, struck down just days after the Civil War's guns fell silent. What should have been a season of healing became a new battlefield instead. That fraught hour stepped and shaped by hardship, pride, and deep contradictions. Andrew Johnson took the oath of office in April 1865. The nation was stunned and grieving. Abraham Lincoln lay dead, struck down just days after the Civil War's guns fell silent. What should have been a season of healing became a new battlefield instead. And that fraught hour stepped a man shaped by hardship, pride, and deep contradictions. Johnson was born in 1808 in Raleigh, North Carolina, into grinding poverty, orphaned early, apprenticed as a tailor, and largely self-taught. He rose by force of will alone. He carried with him a fierce resentment of privilege and a lifelong identification with the typical white laborer. Though he owned enslaved people later in life, he despised the Southern planter aristocracy and styled himself their enemy. A Southern Unionist from Tennessee, Johnson remained loyal to the Union when his state seceded. That loyalty earned him Lincoln's trust and the vice presidency in 1864 as a gesture of national unity. But when Lincoln was assassinated, Johnson inherited not just the presidency, but the impossible task of reconstruction. At first, many hoped Johnson would govern with firmness. He spoke harshly of Confederate leaders and promised justice, but once in power, his instincts turned toward leniency. He issued sweeping pardons to former Confederates, restored their lands and political rights, and allowed Southern states to reconstitute governments with minimal federal oversight. The results were swift and chilling. Southern legislatures passed black codes, restricting the freedom of formerly enslaved people and binding them to systems little better than bondage. Johnson objected only weakly. To him, Reconstruction was about restoring the Union, not transforming Southern society. This stance put him on a collision course with radical Republicans in Congress who believed the war's sacrifice demanded a new birth of freedom. When Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1866, Johnson vetoed it, arguing it overreached federal authority. Congress overrode his veto, the first major override in American history, and passed the 14th Amendment, granting citizenship and equal protection under the law. Johnson opposed it bitterly, campaigning against it in public speeches that shocked even his supporters. The struggle escalated into open warfare between the presidency and Congress. Laws were passed to limit Johnson's power. When he attempted to remove Secretary of War Edwin Stanton in defiance of the Tenure of Office Act, the House of Representatives impeached him, the first president ever to face that fate. The Senate trial in 1868 held the nation spellbound. Johnson escaped removal by one vote. He remained in office, but broken politically, stripped of authority, and isolated from power. By the time his term ended, Reconstruction had shifted decisively into congressional hands. Johnson left the White House embittered and defiant, convinced he had upheld the Constitution. History would disagree, yet Andrew Johnson defies simple judgment. He was a man of the people who opposed equality for all, a unionist who undermined the victory of the Union, a president who believed deeply in law but failed to grasp justice. In later years, Johnson returned to Tennessee and, in a final irony, was elected to the U.S. Senate, becoming the only former president to do so. He died in 1875, still certain that history would absolve him. It has not. Andrew Johnson stands as a cautionary figure, proof that the end of war does not guarantee peace, and that the absence of vision can undo the triumph of sacrifice. Leadership history reminds us is not merely about restoring what was lost, but about shaping what must come next.